According to the 2017 National Electrical Code, specifically Section 210.12, dwelling units require arc fault circuit interrupter protection. This section has undergone several revisions over the years, expanding the locations where AFCI protection is required. When considering receptacle replacements, it's crucial to understand the specific requirements applicable to the situation. If the existing receptacle is in a location that currently requires AFCI protection according to the 2017 NEC, then the replacement receptacle must also be AFCI protected. Section 210.12 subsection S states that all 120 volts single-phase, 15 amps and 20 amps branch circuits supplying outlets or devices installed in dwelling units, kitchens, family rooms, dining rooms, living rooms, parlors, libraries, dens, bedrooms, sunrooms, recreation rooms, closets, hallways, laundry areas, or similar rooms or areas shall be protected by any of the means described in 210.12 subsection of paragraphs 1 through 6. Therefore, if you are replacing a receptacle in a bedroom, which is specifically listed in 210.12 subsection A, the replacement must be AFCI protected. There are several ways to provide AFCI protection as outlined in 210.12 subsection of paragraphs 1 through 6. Firstly, you can install a combination type of AFCI breaker at the origin of the branch circuit, providing protection for the entire branch circuit. Secondly, you can use a branch circuit AFCI breaker at the origin, also protecting the entire branch circuit. Thirdly, a listed outlet branch circuit AFCI at the first outlet provides protection downstream. This means the first outlet on the branch circuit must be an AFCI receptacle, protecting all subsequent outlets. Fourthly, you can use a listed combination AFCI receptacle at the first outlet combined with a listed branch circuit AFCI breaker at the origin. Fifthly, a system that has been listed as meeting the requirements can be used. Sixthly, if metal raceway or cable is used for the branch circuit and a listed outlet branch circuit AFCI is installed at the first outlet, it can serve as protection for the remainder of the circuit. Consider the implications for existing homes. While the 2017 NEC generally applies to new installations and substantial renovations, replacement of a receptacle typically falls under maintenance or repair. However, if the existing receptacle is being replaced because it is non-functional or damaged, it's an opportune time to upgrade to AFCI protection, especially in areas like bedrooms where AFCI protection is mandated. Even if not strictly required by code for a simple replacement, it greatly enhances safety. For example, if you are replacing a standard duplex receptacle in a bedroom of an existing home and the circuit is not currently AFCI protected, you have a few options. Firstly, you could replace the existing receptacle with another standard duplex receptacle, provided the existing wiring is in good condition and meets current code requirements for ampacity and grounding. However, this would not provide any AFCI protection. Secondly, you could replace the existing receptacle with an AFCI receptacle. To do this, you would need to ensure that the wiring behind the receptacle is properly identified and that the receptacle is correctly wired with the line and load sides properly connected if it is a feed-through type AFCI receptacle. Thirdly, you could install an AFCI breaker at the panel, protecting the entire circuit. This is often the best option as it provides comprehensive protection for the entire branch circuit, not just the outlets downstream of the AFCI receptacle. Remember that AFCI receptacles and breakers are designed to detect arc faults, which are dangerous electrical conditions that can lead to fires. They work by monitoring the current flowing through the circuit and detecting abnormal arc patterns. When an arc fault is detected, the AFCI device quickly trips, interrupting the flow of electricity and preventing a fire from starting. When installing AFCI receptacles, it is essential to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. Firstly, turn off the power to the circuit at the breaker panel before beginning any work. Secondly, carefully remove the existing receptacle from the electrical box. Thirdly, identify the line and load wires. The line wires are the incoming wires from the breaker panel, and the load wires are the outgoing wires that feed other outlets or devices on the circuit. Fourthly, connect the line wires to the appropriate terminals on the AFCI receptacle, typically marked line or power in. Fifthly, connect the load wires to the appropriate terminals on the AFCI receptacle, typically marked load or power out. Sixthly, connect the ground wire to the ground terminal on the receptacle. Seventhly, carefully push the receptacle back into the electrical box and secure it with screws. Eighthly, install the cover plate. Ninthly, turn the power back on at the breaker panel. Tenthly, test the AFCI receptacle to ensure it is working properly by pressing the test button on the receptacle. If the AFCI receptacle trips immediately after being reset, it indicates a problem with the wiring or a potential arc fault condition. In this case, you should turn off the power to the circuit and carefully inspect the wiring for any damage or loose connections. If you are unable to identify the cause of the problem, you should consult with a qualified electrician. It's important to note that while AFCI protection significantly enhances electrical safety, it is not a substitute for proper wiring practices and regular electrical inspections. Ensure that all wiring is properly installed, that connections are tight, and that the electrical system is regularly inspected by a qualified electrician to identify any potential hazards. In summary, when replacing a receptacle in a bedroom in an existing home, the 2017 NEC generally requires AFCI protection. While there might be interpretations based on the specific scope of the work being performed, it is prudent to upgrade to AFCI protection for enhanced safety. Consider installing an AFCI breaker at the panel for comprehensive protection or using an AFCI receptacle as the first outlet on the circuit. Always follow manufacturer's instructions and consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. Remember to prioritize safety and ensure that all electrical work is performed in accordance with the latest edition of the National Electrical Code and local regulations. Furthermore, understanding the difference between AFCI and ground fault circuit interrupter (GFCI) protection is important. AFCI devices protect against arc faults, which are unintentional electrical discharges that can cause fires. GFCI devices protect against ground faults, which occur when electricity flows through an unintended path to ground, posing a shock hazard. While both types of protection are important, they serve different purposes and are required in different locations. For example, GFCI protection is typically required in wet locations such as bathrooms and kitchens, while AFCI protection is required in bedrooms and other living areas. When selecting AFCI receptacles or breakers, choose products that are listed by a recognized testing laboratories such as Underwriters Laboratories, UL, or Electrical Testing Laboratories, ETL. Listed products have been tested and certified to meet established safety standards. Be sure to select the correct amperage rating for the AFCI device to match the branch circuit it is protecting. For example, a 15 amps branch circuit requires a 15 amps AFCI device, and a 20 amps branch circuit requires a 20 amps AFCI device. When working with electrical wiring, always use appropriate safety equipment such as insulated tools, rubber gloves, and eye protection. Never work on electrical circuits while standing in water or on a damp surface. Always double check your work to ensure that all connections are tight and that there are no exposed wires. If you are not comfortable working with electrical wiring, it is best to hire a qualified electrician to perform the work. Finally, remember that electrical codes and regulations are constantly evolving. It is important to stay up to date on the latest requirements and to consult with a qualified electrician or electrical inspector if you have any questions or concerns. By following these guidelines, you can help ensure that your electrical system is safe and code compliant. Remember that the information provided here is for general guidance only and should not be considered a substitute for professional advice. Always consult with a qualified electrician or electrical inspector to ensure that your electrical work is performed safely and in accordance with all applicable codes and regulations. Understanding the specific requirements of the 2017 NEC and local amendments is essential for ensuring electrical safety in your home. By taking the time to learn about AFCI protection and other electrical safety measures, you can help protect your family and property from the dangers of electrical hazards.